This is that wonderful moment when we do rest in Mother, Father, God. So I invite you to take a long, deep breath. Hold it for a moment, and then release it. And again, breathe in divine presence. And exhale any cares or concerns. And one more time, inhale deeply. Drawing in that life-supporting energy. Allow it to circulate through your being. And exhale completely. Releasing any heaviness. Letting go of whatever doesn't serve you. We move from our head to our heart in this sacred moment. For here is where we connect with that higher power. Here is where we immerse ourselves in that restorative, universal intelligence that soothes us and calms us and allows us to rest. That universal intelligence that when we return from a period of rest empowers us to do what we are called to do. In meditation, we surrender. We give ourselves over to that higher power and rest in the silence. In the silence, we realize oneness. We are one with Creator God. We are one with all of creation. It swirls in us, around us, and moves through us. We are one. All the answers we seek. We are one with the power of giving as we step into the flow of life and engage giving and receiving. We are one with peace and joy. One with exquisite health. One with divine inspiration. One with each other. One with this magnificent creation. For our deepening awareness of our oneness. say simply, thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is.
How many times have I felt this way? How many times before today? And never had the courage or the honesty to say. The many times I felt God's love, and how my fears would freeze my heart. But now at last, because of you, I have the strength to start to trust God's love and accept the love and will of God and dedicate all of life to share the light and love of God and to trust God's love. How many gifts has fear denied? How many blessings pushed away? How many times have pride and anger done their best to ruin today? And the big test happens next, as those with open hearts can see, to forgive, forget, and choose to live in love and harmony, and to trust God's love and accept the love and will of God and dedicate all of life to share the light and love of God and to trust God's love. How many times do we choose love? How many times is love refused? When will we learn at last by choosing power over love how much we lose? For we all are here to learn, and we'll be here till we're through. And our love for God and all of life is clear in what we say and do. And we trust God's love and accept the love and will of God and dedicate all of life to share the light and love of God, and we trust God's love, trust God's love. You know I trust God's love. Say, I trust God's love.
nice to have Rich with us when we're talking about prosperity, isn't it? Pretty darn handy. Ah, prosperity. This is a fun exploration. And we get to define for ourselves what prosperity is. Maybe prosperity to you means peace of mind. Maybe it's about health. Maybe it's about that thing called money. Anybody want more money in their life? I know if I was standing here handing out $100 bills, nobody would walk away and say, no thanks. Prosperity is actually a spiritual principle. And we need to experience prosperity because it's necessary for our spiritual growth. You see, prosperity provides us the freedom to grow spiritually as we demonstrate that these principles work. Charles Fillmore even went so far once upon a time to say, it's a sin to be poor. We don't talk about sin a whole lot. In Unity, we understand that that really is about error thought and error ideas. But his point was, we have a spiritual obligation to develop prosperity in our lives and in our community. So we've been talking about prosperity steps. Okay. One cough drop, and you're envisioning that my throat relaxes and calms down, okay? I am affirming emerging health, dispensing with this cold. It's really annoying. The first step to prosperity, and we've talked about it quite a bit in the last few weeks, is consciousness. We can grab all kinds of what we call spiritual tools and throw them around, our affirmations, our denials, tithing, all of those things that we talk about. But they're not real effective until we have established the consciousness. And Catherine Ponder wrote an iconic book called Open Your Mind to Prosperity. And it's very telling that in her book, the first 2 chapters are all about the mental and spiritual work of preparing our minds for prosperity. And then she closes out the book with another chapter on consciousness. Creating a prosperity consciousness is paramount, and it precedes any demonstration, any manifestation of whatever prosperity we want. Hear that again. Creating a prosperity consciousness is paramount and lays the foundation for any prosperity we may want to experience in our lives. We lay that foundation by connecting with Source, with Mother, Father, God, with universal intelligence, higher power, whatever name works for you. It's that which is ineffable, that which we cannot define or describe, but we all know deep in our soul, there's something more than just you and me, don't we? So whatever name you want to use is fine, but it's important that we connect with it, because it connects us with unlimited supply. Not necessarily unlimited supply of money flowing and pouring from the heavens, but unlimited supply of divine ideas that we can grab onto and apply in our life and create more peace, more health, more financial abundance, more serenity, more love, more friendships, whatever prosperity is to you. But it starts with that connection with the unlimited source of all that we need. And we need to remind ourselves sometimes that the people in our lives, the circumstances in our lives, appear to be the source of our prosperity, but they are the channels of the unlimited source. So don't panic if the channel changes. Realize that your higher power, my higher power, our understanding of that great universal intelligence, that unchanging, all good, everywhere present, is our source. Catherine Ponder is abundantly clear that the mental, spiritual work is necessary to create and experience whatever prosperity you want in your life. And we do this each time we sit down and connect with Spirit. The second step to prosperity we talked about in some depth last week. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights from our conversation about releasing the roadblocks, those things that keep us from experiencing our prosperity. If you want more detail, jump online, go to our website, you will find the lesson there. We inadvertently put roadblocks in our own way that keep us from experiencing the prosperity that we want. Ways to break through those blocks start with things like forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, releasing anger, resentment, or blame wherever we might have placed it. Even letting go of what no longer serves you. And sometimes that means letting go of something that's good to make way for something that's better. Breaking through roadblocks means realigning our thinking with higher thinking. And that's why the whole idea of prosperity consciousness and forgiveness, or letting go, is laid out in the prosperity book that a lot of us have been working. How many of you have gotten the prosperity pack, or at least the prosperity booklet that you're working with? Are you seeing changes? Are you experiencing changes in your life? In a week or two, we're going to open the floor, and for those of you that are working with this prosperity information, you'll have an opportunity to share the changes you have seen in your life as you align your consciousness with prosperity and as you practice these prosperity principles. At little booklets out on the front table, we actually have 3 packs left that give you the notebook, the colored pens, and the booklet, or just the booklet. There are a few of those left too. It's the 40 Days to Prosperity program. It's all about establishing our consciousness in a consciousness of prosperity. And part of it is about removing the blocks, letting go of what keeps us from experiencing our prosperity. Then we get to create a list of our desires. What does prosperity look like to you today? And it will change over time. And then also a list of what are we feeling grateful for day to day to day. These are powerful prosperity practices, and they do open the door to experience more good in life. Step 1 is consciousness, and the 40-day program is very carefully designed to help us shift into a higher prosperity consciousness. Step 2 is breaking through roadblocks, and ingrained in that program is a very specific method to let go of whatever might be blocking the prosperity you want to enjoy. Today, we're going to talk about step 3, giving. And we heard a little bit about it in our daily word this morning, giving of ourselves. The question we want to ask relative to prosperity is, what do you want more of? And what are you willing to give of that same thing to receive more of? Think about that for a minute. What is prosperity to you? And what can you give in some way, shape, or form to others or to the world of exactly what you want so it can come back to you. It's the cycle of giving and receiving. It's interesting that the whole idea of giving is mentioned in the New Testament 300 times. It's actually one of the most talked about topics in the entire New Testament. Deepak Chopra, his wonderful book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, relates it very succinctly for us. He highlights as one of those 7 laws, the law of giving and receiving. And he tells us this: the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of universal energy. In our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. He goes on to explain that when we stop the circulation of energy, it's like stopping the flow of blood in our body. We do that, blood clots, it coagulates, it stagnates, causes illness, and if it's blocked long enough and in the right places, stopping that flow can even cause death. If we understood the basis of some of our linguistics, I think we would understand the spiritual perception of prosperity a little better. The root word afflure, the root of affluence, means to flow to. The word affluence then literally means to flow in abundance. And the word we use for our money, our currency, that comes from the Latin word correre, meaning to run or to flow. Any prosperity you might want is about the flow of energy, the energy of health, if that's prosperity to you, the energy of love, the energy of peace, the energy of financial prosperity. Chopra reminds us that money is the symbol of the life energy that we exchange. And our circulation of money, giving it, receiving it, keeps it alive and vital. It keeps it from stagnating. It keeps us from blocking the flow. Giving supports receiving. Receiving engenders giving. There's cyclical, different aspects of the overall flow of energy. And our Buddhist friends teach us this in a very lovely way. The Buddha said this: if all beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would the stain of selfishness overcome their minds. Even if it were their last bite, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared, if there was someone there to receive their gift. That's a powerful statement. It's a dramatic statement, and it really emphasizes what the Buddha and Buddhists in general recognize as a key facet of successful living in this world. They practice what they call dana, D-A-N-A. And it is the first step, one of the most fundamental steps of Buddhist practices. Dana means giving. In the Buddhist tradition, they demonstrate the cyclical nature, the energy of giving and receiving in their everyday practices. Once read a story about a Buddhist monk, and he was describing his experience as a monk and talked about how each morning that they would all get up and they'd take their bowls and they'd go into the village and go door to door to door asking for food. And my first thought was, ew, I shouldn't want to live my life that way, with a begging bowl in my hand, going from door to door to door. I didn't understand that they were practicing the higher spiritual principle of dana, of giving and receiving. When the monks went door to door, they were giving their Buddhist brothers and sisters an opportunity to give. And as those brothers and sisters gave, they opened up themselves to the greater flow of universe. And as the Buddhists received that food, they too were in the flow of prosperity, because they in turn could then give. It's a beautiful way, actually, of incorporating the whole idea of giving and receiving in a way that blessed everybody, that blesses everyone who participates in the process. The Buddha also talked about how to give. He said the act of giving purifies intention. For a brief moment, the giver's self-absorption is lifted. Attachment to the gift is relinquished, and kindness toward the recipient is developed. Can you see that creates connection? All actions of thought, word, and deed undertaken for the sake of others rather than for one's own selfish purposes becomes transformed by the power of generosity. He goes on to say that the act of giving is of most benefit when one gives something of value, when one gives something of oneself with one's own hand, and with the view that something wholesome will come of it. The Buddhists teach that one who is accomplished in dana, giving generously, as they dwell in the home and mind, free of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighting in relinquishing, devoted to charity, giving and sharing, they experience joy. Anybody want a little more joy in their life? I'm sure that's one thing we can never get too much of. The Christian scriptures teach, as you give, so shall you receive. In fact, this is a core teaching of all spiritual masters across all faith systems. As you give, so shall you receive. Nowhere have I searched any scripture of any faith and read, as you receive, go ahead and give a little bit. That's not the teaching. The teaching is, as you give, then you receive. Giving comes first. Giving launches us into the cycle of giving and receiving. But we have to start the process. The underlying spiritual laws the Buddhists show us is that when we give joyfully and generously from what we are and from what we have, the universe responds in kind, and even more good flows to us. The spiritual laws simply our giving first opens the energetic channels so more good can come to us. Think of it energetically. If we understand the flow, the movement, the interaction of energy through us, through our lives, through the world, through the universe, it really helps us understand spiritual law better. The Creator is spirit. That is divine energy. You and I, we put that energy into action in the world. As we focus on oneness with God, with universal energy, that connects us to the divine supply, to the substance that is unlimited. When we initiate the flow of that energy, we do it through giving. So if you want more love in your life, give. Be more loving. If you want more time, anybody hear me a little more time? I'm forever saying I need a few more hours in the day. Give of your time. If you want more peace, well, be peaceful and share that with those around you. And if you want more financial prosperity, yeah, give it away. Give it to where it's wholesome and used and benefited in a positive way. Deepak Chopra adds a little caveat, though, for the whole idea of giving and receiving. He also talks about intention. He tells us, if you feel you've lost something in the giving, then the gift is not truly given and will not cause increase. If you give grudgingly, there is no flow. There's no positive energy behind the giving. So that takes us right back again to the first step, consciousness. Do we have a consciousness that we are in the flow, that this universe provides all we need all the time? And we connect with that consciousness. Then we can give freely and generously and step into the flow. And somebody asked me recently, I need more health, but how do I give health to someone else? That stumped me for a little while. I had to take that into prayer and meditation. And what came to me is a story I came across some years ago about a woman who was exceedingly ill. She was bedridden. She had a list of health issues that went on and on and on. But she'd been part of a spiritual community. And when her minister visited her one day, she says, what can I do? I'm laid up here. There's nothing I can do to give. And her minister, with great wisdom, said, there is. You can pray. And so she became a very active prayer advocate for everyone in her spiritual community, for her friends, for her family. This poor lady was spending hours a day in bed and praying for others. She woke up one morning. She felt something was different. Something had shifted in her. She felt strangely strong and motivated. Very gingerly, she swung her legs over the side of her bed. She tested her feet on the floor. Slowly stood up to see if her legs would even hold her, and lo and behold, they did. Cautiously, she made her way to the kitchen where her family was enjoying breakfast. Someplace she had not been under her own movement, under her own physical ability for many, many months. Her family, her friends, her doctors declared it a miraculous healing. This is the story of answered prayer, to be sure. But it is also the story that demonstrates the power of giving. When she had nothing to give but her time in prayer, when she gave of herself, praying for the health of others, those prayers came back to bless her in ways she'd never imagined. They came back to her after she gave of herself first. We step into the flow of prosperity by giving. Step number 1, consciousness. Center yourself in oneness with the unlimited supply of this universe. Step 2, release those blocks. Get them out of your way. Step number 3, give. Give of your time, give of your talents, give of your finances, give of your love, your passion, your joy. For as we give, so we receive. Let's know this truth more deeply as we revisit our affirmation for this morning together. celebrating the mystery that the good I desire already exists. I step into the flow by liberally giving that which I want to receive. Mother, Father, God is the limitless source